Texas. For 2 decades, this state was the promised land. No income tax, low cost of living, open land that seemed to stretch forever. The state added more people than any other in the country, every single year. And along with those people, home prices went through the roof. Then the math changed. In 2025, home values across Texas fell 2.45%, the largest single-year drop in 14 years, according to Zillow. And in the cities that ran the hottest during the pandemic boom, the correction is not 2%. It is not 5%. Some of these markets have already watched prices fall up to 40% from their peak. That money is not coming back. If you own a home in Texas right now, or if you are thinking about buying one, understanding which markets are falling and how far is not optional. It could be the difference between building equity and losing everything you put in. And the city sitting at number 1 on this list, a place that was just voted one of the best cities in America to raise a family, might be the biggest shock you will see today. Drop a comment below and tell me where in Texas you are watching from. And hit subscribe. We upload every single day, and you do not want to miss what is coming next. These are the 10 Texas cities where your home value has dropped the most. Number 10. Burleson, Texas. Sitting just south of Fort Worth in Johnson County, Burleson spent the better part of the last decade as exactly the kind of suburb that Texas was supposed to produce. Affordable, growing, a place where a working family could buy a real house with a real yard without draining their savings. But the Dallas-Fort Worth metro is now in the middle of its steepest housing correction in years. Home values across the entire DFW region fell 4.1% year over year, the sharpest decline among all major Texas metros, and in the outer ring suburbs like Burleson, where buyers stretch the furthest to afford during the pandemic rush, the pain is the most concentrated. That 4.1% drop may sound small, but on a $320,000 home, the typical Burleson starter, that is $13,000 gone from your net worth in a single year. And that does not account for Texas property tax, which runs 1.7 to 2.5% of your home's value annually. You are paying the full tax on an asset that is actively losing ground. The Texas Real Estate Research Center reported in March 2026 that the state is entering a major correction phase, with inventory levels rising and buyer demand constrained by mortgage rates still sitting well above historical norms. New listings are piling up. Days on market are climbing. Sellers who bought at the peak are discovering that the offers coming in are nowhere near what they paid. If you need DFW affordability without the correction risk, look toward Cleburne, the Johnson County seat. Cleburne's market has held more stable than the northern suburbs, and it offers the small-town atmosphere that Burleson used to promise, without the peak price hangover. Number 9. San Antonio, Bexar County, the 7th largest city in the United States. The Alamo, the Riverwalk, the place where millions of Texans and transplants alike came to escape the price spikes of Austin and Houston, and found something that felt, for a moment, like the Texas dream still existed. It does not exist the way it did. According to Zillow and Redfin data from March 2026, the average San Antonio home value has fallen 3.9% year over year, pushing the typical home price down to $262,000. Across all 56 zip codes tracked inside the San Antonio metro, prices are falling. No pockets of resistance, no bright spots. The decline is broad and consistent. That 3.9% drop translates to roughly $10,000 in lost home equity in a single year. And with San Antonio's property tax rate running close to 2.2% on assessed value, homeowners are paying approximately $5,700 a year in tax on an asset that is actively declining. The double hit is real. And it is compounding. The Texas Real Estate Research Center confirmed in their March 2026 housing insight that San Antonio is experiencing increased pricing pressure with year-over-year declines widening quarter over quarter into 2026. The culprit, an oversupply of new construction, permitted during the pandemic run-up, now competing directly against existing homeowners trying to sell at prices below what they paid. Newsweek reported it directly. Texas is facing a major housing market correction as prices drop across the state. In San Antonio, where affordability was the main pitch to buyers from California and the Northeast, that pitch is looking a lot shakier than the real estate agents were letting on. If you are looking in the San Antonio area, Bourne in Kendall County has shown more price resilience, with lower inventory levels and a hill country lifestyle that has kept demand stickier than the broader metro. The difference in trajectory is measurable. Number 8. Waxahachie, Ellis County. 40 miles south of Dallas, with a historic downtown that made it one of the most photographed court squares in Texas. During the pandemic, it became one of the DFW escape routes, where buyers priced out of Plano and Frisco came looking for the same square footage at half the price. The buyers came, they paid pandemic prices, and now the DFW-wide correction is hitting Ellis County hard. Home values across the Dallas-Fort Worth metro fell 4.1% year-over-year in 2025, the steepest drop among any of the 4 major Texas metros, according to Redfin and Zoocasa data. In the outer suburbs like Waxahachie, where buyers stretch the furthest, the pain is landing the hardest. What is particularly devastating in markets like Waxahachie is the property tax reality. Ellis County homeowners who bought in 2021 and 2022 at peak prices are still being taxed on those inflated values, while the actual market price of their home has dropped below what they paid. You are carrying the tax burden of a boom that is already over. The DFW housing market report from M&D Real Estate documented the primary driver, oversupply of new construction in the northern suburbs, Salina, Prosper, and Fate, creating a ripple effect across the entire metro, including far-ring markets like Ellis County. When builders drop prices by $30,000 to clear inventory, resale homes in Waxahachie have to compete directly. And in that fight, sellers are losing. Culture Map Dallas reported that Dallas saw the second steepest housing price drop among all southern cities over the last year. For buyers who thought the outer ring of DFW would be insulated from that correction, Waxahachie is providing a direct answer. Within Ellis County, Midlothian has held slightly better due to its proximity to industrial job growth on the southern DFW corridor. If you need the county but want less exposure to the correction, Midlothian is the more defensive option right now. Number 7. Kyle, Hays County. Just 20 miles south of downtown Austin, Kyle was the definition of the pandemic boom success story. People priced out of Austin started showing up here in waves. Home prices doubled. New construction went up faster than the roads could handle. And then the music stopped. In March 2026, Kyle was reporting one of the highest price reduction rates among all Austin suburbs. More than 55% of active listings in Kyle had taken at least one price cut, meaning sellers were not listing and hoping. They were listing, waiting, and then slashing. When more than half the homes on the MLS have already been reduced just to attract a showing, the market is telling you exactly where it stands. The Austin Market Data Tracker at teamprice.com documented the correction across Hays County. Sellers in Kyle routinely lowering asking prices to attract buyers. In some price brackets, the $400,000 to $600,000 range where most pandemic buyers landed, the discount to close a deal is running 8 to 12% below the original list price. The problem that Kyle cannot fix on its own is structural. Builders oversupplied the market during 2021 and 2022. Now they are competing directly with resale homeowners also trying to sell, often at prices below what they paid. The buyers coming in right now have leverage that simply did not exist 3 years ago, and the sellers are feeling every bit of it. Properties that were selling for $550,000 in Kyle during the 2022 peak are finding buyers today at $390,000 or less. The Austin Metro data confirmed that Hays County is experiencing steeper corrections than Central Austin because the suburban markets had the furthest to fall. If you are set on Hays County, San Marcos offers a more stabilized market, backed by Texas State University enrollment demand that creates a consistent rental base and prevents the kind of pure investor-driven overcorrection hitting Kyle right now. Number 6. Lockhart, Caldwell County, the self-declared barbecue capital of Texas. Kreutz Market, Smitty's, Blacks, the kind of town that gets written up in food magazines and travel blogs. And during the pandemic, that attention translated directly into real estate speculation. Buyers who could not get into Austin started landing 30 miles south. The numbers from 2026 Austin housing data tell the story. Lockhart is among the Austin suburb markets showing the steepest declines, with price drops in certain price tiers running as high as 14 to 27% from their pandemic-era peaks. These are not modest adjustments. A home that listed at $350,000 during the 2022 frenzy is now clearing at $255,000 to $300,000. That is a loss of $50,000 to $95,000 for anyone who bought at the top. The issue in Lockhart is what happened when small-town infrastructure collided with big city demand. Buyers came for affordability but brought big city price expectations. When Austin cooled and remote work policies reversed, buyers who relocated found themselves holding a home they could not sell at the price they paid, and a commute that had become a daily reminder of how far out they had gone. The Texas Real Estate Research Center noted in their March 2026 Texas Housing Insight that rural and exurban markets that experienced outsized pandemic appreciation are among the most exposed to the current correction. Lockhart fits that description precisely. The fundamentals that drove buyers here in 2021 have partially reversed, and the market is repricing accordingly. If Caldwell County is still where you want to be, Luling, 20 miles south, has not experienced the same speculative run-up and is trading at prices that actually reflect local income levels rather than Austin buyer overflow. Number 5. Frisco, Collin County. For years, Frisco was the headline, the fastest-growing city in America, the top-ranked suburb in the country, the place where people went when they believed Texas could produce a boom that never ended. The median home in Frisco crossed $670,000. In 2026, Frisco home values have fallen 8.7% year over year, according to Zillow data. The median has dropped to $652,000. Homes are sitting on the market an average of 85 days, more than double what sellers saw at the peak. The DFW Housing Market Report confirmed that Collin County is experiencing some of the steepest price declines in the metro, driven by excess new construction in neighboring Salina and Prosper competing directly against Frisco resale inventory. On a $670,000 home, the 2022 peak median, an 8.7% drop is $58,000 gone in 12 months. Add Texas property tax at 2.1% of assessed value, another $14,000 a year in carrying costs on an asset actively losing ground. The math is not working for anyone who bought Frisco at the top. Allen, Collin County's most established suburb, has shown more price resilience than Frisco's newer outer sections, making it the relative safe harbor if you are staying in northern Collin County. Number 4. League City, Galveston County. 25 miles southeast of downtown Houston, League City grew up as the peninsula suburb, where Houston professionals went for suburban space with clear lake access. It ranked among the fastest-growing cities in Texas through 2022. But the Houston metropolitan area has now seen home prices fall from their 2022 peak. And in Galveston County, the story is compounded by a factor that does not affect most Texas markets: flood insurance. After Hurricane Harvey in 2017 and Hurricane Beryl in 2024, flood insurance costs in designated flood zones across Galveston County have climbed to $5,000 to $15,000 per year for some League City properties, on top of standard homeowners insurance and property tax. A $360,000 home in a League City flood zone carrying $8,000 in flood insurance, $7,500 in property tax, and $20,500 in standard homeowner's insurance is costing its owner over $18,000 a year in non-mortgage carrying costs, before a single mortgage payment. That is a home whose market value is declining. The carrying cost is not. Friendswood, also in Galveston County but elevated enough to avoid the highest flood zone designations, has maintained more stable prices precisely because buyers willing to pay for lower insurance risk have created consistent demand. Number 3. Lakeway, Travis County. 20 miles west of downtown Austin along the Colorado River arm of Lake Travis. This is where Austin's surgeons, tech executives, and venture capitalists built their weekend estates and eventually their permanent addresses. The median home in Lakeway's Lake View segments was clearing $1.5 million by 2022. In 2026, the Lake Travis and Lakeway real estate market has turned. According to Neuhaus Realty Group's April 2026 Lake Travis market data, 60% of active listings in the area have taken at least one price cut. Medians are down 6 to 23%, depending on the price segment. And in the luxury tier, the $1.5 million to $3 million homes that defined Lakeway's identity, certain properties have dropped 35 to 40% from their 2022 peaks. A home that sold for $2.1 million at the peak of the Austin luxury market in 2022 is now asking $1.35 million and still sitting. That is a $750,000 loss in 3 years. In a market where 60% of listings are already discounted and more inventory is coming, there's no escape hatch. You cannot move quickly enough to get ahead of it. Spicewood, in Burnett County just north of Lake Travis, has maintained more realistic pricing precisely because it never experienced the same speculative luxury run-up. If you want the hill country lake lifestyle without the peak price hangover, Spicewood is worth the consideration. Number 2. Bastrop County, the Lost Pines of Texas. The Colorado River running through a town that looked, for about 3 years, like the perfect Austin escape. Close enough to commute, far enough to afford, the kind of place where people moved and felt like they had found the secret that everyone else missed. The April 2026 Austin housing data confirms that Bastrop County is experiencing some of the steepest declines among all Austin exurban markets. Andrew Vallejo, a Redfin Premier real estate agent active in the Austin market, documented it directly. Quote, "I have a buyer who just offered $560,000 for a home that was listed at $599,000, and a few years ago would have been worth $700,000. There is a pretty good chance the seller will say yes, given how slow the market is." That quote is the market in a sentence. That is a $140,000 swing on a single property, in a market where wildfire risk from the Lost Pines burn zone is now factored into homeowners' insurance, in ways it was not during the pandemic buying frenzy. The carrying costs on top of a declining asset have become a compounding problem that no amount of waiting can fix. But the city at number 1 on this list is not some outer suburb that overbuilt. It is not some small town that caught pandemic overflow. It is a city that multiple national publications have called one of the best places to live in the entire United States. And its home values have dropped by more than any number 1 should ever be allowed to drop. Number 1. Round Rock, Williamson County. The city that was voted one of America's best cities to live in, year after year. The home of Dell Technologies. The suburb that attracted the engineers, the project managers, the families chasing the Texas Tech Corridor dream with the confidence that a city this solid, this desirable, this decorated could only go up. In February 2026, Round Rock home prices were down 9.3% year over year. The median sale price fell from $430,000 in February 2025 to $389,000 12 months later. But that is just the one-year number. Round Rock's median peaked at $479,000 in mid-2024. It has now given back $89,000 in value from that peak. For homeowners who bought in 2023 or 2024 believing the Austin correction was behind them, the correction was not behind them. John Crow, president of the Austin Board of Realtors, described the market reality exactly. Quote, "A lot of buyers have spent the past year watching and waiting, wondering if prices would keep falling or if they should hold out longer. That uncertainty, in a city that was supposed to be a sure thing, is the #1 story in Texas real estate right now." Round Rock is not a distressed market. The infrastructure is excellent. The schools are rated among the best in Texas. Dell is not leaving. But real estate does not reward quality alone. It rewards timing. And the people who bought at the timing that felt safest, or 2024, after the Austin crash had appeared to correct, are now watching their equity shrink on one of America's most decorated addresses. Community Impact reported the February 2026 data directly. Round Rock home prices down, the market cooling, the city nobody was watching for the headline, the city they all should have been watching. If this video made you rethink where you own or where you are planning to buy in Texas, drop a comment. Tell me which city you are watching, and if you are not subscribed to Inside Texas TV yet, hit the button right now. We upload every single day, and the next video might be the one that changes everything for you.